Jean Ritchie grew up dancing at play parties in her home community in Knott County, Kentucky. She's taught the songs and dances and lore of her Appalachian tradition to young and old all over the world. Recently, we had a chance to talk with Jean at her friend Eleanor's farm.
Well, I was born and raised in Viper, Kentucky in 1922, and that seems about sort of like yesterday to me, but it is a long time ago for most people. And when I was growing up, play parties and games and songs were our way of having fun.
So the play parties would happen as part of everyday life?
The play party games took place largely around harvest time, around the work, you know, planting time, harvest time, and corn hoeing time. And on weekends, it was the reward for working all during the week. Some family would let the children all come in and play games. And you had to call it playing games because you didn't call it dancing, because dancing was sinful.
Aha. So that's where the play party name of it came
My
in.
mother said she always had to say to her mother, not I'm going to run sets or I'm going to a dance. She always had to say I'm going to the plays. And so it got to be called a play party.
So that was approved.
Mm-hmm.
It was approved
Yeah,
dancing
that's right.
and a way for young boys and girls to get together and sort of flirt maybe.
Right.
Under the supervision, I'm sure, of adults.
Oh, sure. There was always other older people standing around the walls and joining in. You know, anyone could join in. It wasn't just the courting couples. It was little children would join in too, and that's how they learned the more complicated games like Boston and Charlie. But it was the main people that it was for was the young couples that wanted to get near each other and needed some kind of excuse. But the business of not allowing it or not allowing it, or calling it dancing or calling it play parties, sort of went back and forth a lot. My mother said sometimes after the preacher had been in the community, the new preacher had been in the community for a month or two or three, they'd sort of educate him, and he'd say, well, I guess this set running is not too bad, and the fiddle would come back out, and they would start running sets, which is what we called, you call it square dancing now, I guess, but we always called it running sets, whether it was a big set or a little set, we called it running sets. And it had a fiddle and it had music, and you didn't have to sing unless you wanted to, hum along. And that's where people would clog during the sets, and just to show off one person here and there. It wasn't a whole set of cloggers, it was just one person clogging to show off for his girlfriend or something. Then a new preacher would come in, and he'd say, these youngins are dancing, you can't have that. So they'd go back to playing games again, and it looked like dancing, and everything was the same except they had no fiddle and they sang the songs. So that made it a play party.
Would the game playing and the singing and dancing go on all night? How would that work?
Well, if it was a Saturday night, it went on till midnight, and then you had to stop because it was Sunday. And they didn't believe in even playing party games on Sunday. That was a day to really rest and go to church and do all that. So they were frowned on if they stayed up later than midnight. If it was another night like Friday night, they could stay up a little later, but usually they didn't. They had little children with them, and they were all sleepy or sleeping, and so they broke up pretty much around 11:30 or midnight.
Would people go from playing the games to maybe sitting out on the porch singing? Is that something you all did? Or?
Well, what they did at play parties, a play party is kind of like an Irish ceilidh or a Scottish ceilidh. You sing for a while, and then you dance for a while, and then you rest. And while you rest, you're singing ballads, or someone's performing or something like that. So that was or reciting or telling a story, so that was all part of the play party, was those rest periods. And then they would get up and exercise some more and do some more games, and then after a while they'd sit back down. Everybody just drop down where they were around the floor and get close to the one they wanted to get close to, and ask somebody that was a good singer or was noted for his ballad singing to sing him a song. And Uncle Jason told me that. He said that was part of the party. And the big ballad singers always got invited to the party so they could sing at these times.